Hi guys, thank you for tuning in another episode of Something to Say. We do want to give you a little heads up. In today's episode, we discuss mental health, depression, and suicide. So if you are not comfortable hearing this discussion, then please skip over this episode. Thank you.
I have something to say.
मुझे कुछ कहना है.
Mình phải nói cái gì?
J'ai quelque chose à dire.
Tengo algo que decir.
I have something to say.
This is Chad and Erica, and we have something to say.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Something to Say. This is Erica.
And this is Chad.
So this month is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month.
So, we wanted to take this time to talk about something different and just to kind of help our listeners to discuss, this very important issue, because I feel like a lot of us don't really discuss it a lot. We don't, we're usually talking about what's in the news and just music and going out and all that stuff, but no one really takes the time to really talk about mental health. So I think it's a great opportunity, with, like you said, it being Minority Mental Health Month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for both of us, I feel like we've had our own struggles. I know for me, like when I was growing up and having like come out, been forced out by like my parents with that whole situation. I remember that it brought me to a tough spot, and like I've even had like very troubled thoughts with like suicide when I was younger. I know once I did it more so at that time. I remember I did it for attention, but I can or not attention, I don't want to say it like that, but like my parents were like just doing too much, so I just wanted
maybe
them
like
to,
not understanding, and you just wanted
them to like relax or whatever. And I guess feel that they're actually concerned about me. So that was one time, but then in like outside of that case, like there are a lot of times, even recently, where I can think of like for a split second, like you're thinking, okay, maybe that's the easy way out, but I do catch myself, or in some cases, it's not even like I'm thinking, oh, like I should do something, but I just think it would be kind of nice to have like a car like T-bone me, or like, something just kind of happening to just take me out of the stress. But I do like catch myself like right after, because I'm like, I try to remind myself of the people that love me, and just for me, like, I'm excited about the possibilities of the future, like I really do want to look, not that I want to, but I really do look forward to just the growth from me, and just the opportunities that could come for me and my family. And I know that as I guess you could call me, I don't know if I'm like a first generation person from my family here, but I'm one of the first persons from my family to even own a house this young, and really focusing on like quote unquote building wealth. So I know that I'm like somebody that will be there to help my family. So like stuff like that really kind of
that must be stressful also.
It is
a lot of pressure.
It is. Just feeling like you're that one person to like catch everybody, Do
you think it has a lot to do with you being a gay male, and that not being like really the best thing in like a Jamaican family, or like like it's not really accepted in Jamaica, and so you feel like you have to kind of do twice as much as like a straight Jamaican male, or like a straight guy in your family. Like you feel more pressure to like kind of like to succeed, so that way you're not seen less than. Because it's kind of like, oh, I'm already seen less than.
And imagine if I was just like, I wasn't doing anything with my life, and I wasn't accomplishing anything, like people just look down on me, So that is definitely something that plays into it. And even just the accomplishments that I've made, I feel like that does help people to process me.
Yeah.
You know, like my family. I feel like it helps them to accept me more because they can see, you know, maybe he can help us. Like, I don't know if that's real, because I've never really spoken to him about it, but I feel like that's, you know, some of the justification behind like some people talking to me or just like keeping up a relationship with me, because I know like they're not fans of like you know, they don't approve of this quote unquote lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they don't talk about it with me. They'll just like try to make plans to like come and stay here, or like they'll ask for stuff, or, you know. But I know that if they didn't think that I could provide all of that, they probably wouldn't be reaching out to me, because I mean, they don't check up on me to say, hey, how are you doing, or anything like that. It's usually just like, we want something, or
that's sad. Yeah. That's also, doesn't that like hurt?
It does, but I try not to dwell on it, honestly. And you know, I mean, I was close to a lot of my family, like in Jamaica when I was younger, but with like them finding out about my sexuality, that in itself forced us to be distant. And for me, like, and at that time, one of the things that kind of helped me to process everything was just the fact that I immediately started to think, okay, well, obviously blood is not what makes your family.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times family is really the people that go out of their way to be there for you. And I did have people, like, I did have friends that would be there for me and that I could relate to and talk to about this stuff. And I know that they could relate to what I was going through. So I considered them for a long time my family. But I'm grateful that now my mom and my dad specifically, and like my siblings, they've really made a concerted effort to, you know, be there for me, and just they do check up on me, and they just want to make sure I'm okay. And I like that in itself helps me. But for them, at least, I know I still have to make sure that I succeed so that I can be there for them, you know, and I could create opportunities for myself, but for also for them. So like a lot of times I'm thinking about different things I could do in the future, and I'm trying to include them to like say, oh, maybe my mom could do this, like, you know,
she can help out with like this part of like the business and
exactly.
this and that. So
I can, you know, so yes, I mean, that's a part of my struggle. And, you know, as it relates to suicide, like I said, I just try to catch myself if I do have any of those thoughts. And this is outside of what I was mentioning about, you know, using it as a way to get attention. But
I get what you mean when you say that. It's not necessarily really like attention, but
I was really young, maybe 13 or so at that time. But I know it's something I've definitely struggled with. Like,
do you think you still struggle with that now, or not as much?
I think I still do, but just not as much. But I know
has it gotten better since you and Jordan got married, and since you probably moved here, like to the U.S.?
Not since I've moved here, but it's definitely gotten better around the same time that like me and Jordan got married. And I think a large part of it is just being able to see your accomplishments. And so it's not even the marriage itself. I feel like, and it's something I've learned, like even being in a relationship, you can't like look at a relationship to help you feel better, like, and to accept yourself. Like, kind of like that's a personal struggle that you kind of have to, well, for me at least, this is how I feel like it's something that I kind of have to deal with on my own and work towards, you know, greater acceptance and just being able to process things better. And, but it's definitely,
what do you think is like your most triggering thing, like the one thing that gets to you the most, or like, and what actually is it? Like, is it anxiety or like depression that hits, or is it something different?
I think it's depression. It feels like depression, because like even today, for example, like I'll be okay in the morning, and then as time goes on, I just kind of feel myself like just being out of it. And just like I just want to sleep. And
how do you think Jordan deals with it? Like, how does he help you?
So it's something he and I have definitely spoken about, and he's, like I said, he's pushed me to, I don't want to say push me, but he's definitely spoken to me about, encouraged you, to talk to somebody, you know, a therapist, about my own struggles. It's something I've, like, we were talking about in the last
Yeah.
episode, I've thought about too. I haven't.
It's
I'm
okay.
starting looking
No,
yet.
I know. It's so hard because like I have like the therapist and the number and everything, but I haven't made like an effort to like call and really see them like more more consistently.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard. I don't like therapy, especially like when it's with a new person, because then you have to open up all over again. You
So
have
this
to get
whole
to
different
know
person,
them,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh my god. And then like every time I would go to therapy when I was younger, I remember would like be more depressed for the first like month or two. That even like I remember one time when I went to like therapy when I was like in high school, and I would like go there crying, leave crying, and like be depressed all week. And my mom like ended up going over there and she's like, what are you doing to my daughter? You're not helping her. Like you're making her worse. And I think it's just like opening up is like
It's
painful.
a hard part.
Just
yeah.
like depending on what your past is. Like I mean everyone goes through traumatic things, so anything can be painful or like too traumatic for someone. But yeah, I feel like it's
I think for me, it was just like reaching out to a therapist. It's almost just like you said, like you're gonna be talking to a new person. Like at the end of the day, they're still new. There's somebody you've never met before, and you have to like pretty much open up about your life. And I'm somebody that isn't really the best at like sharing.
Yeah, you seem very like
personal stuff.
conservative with your
That's just generally how I am. Because like and the way I'm like that is just because I feel like I don't want to burden anybody with what I have going on, because we're all dealing with issues. So it would kind of be unfair for me to like you're dealing with your own stuff and like I'm gonna just bog you down with everything. So I try to just deal with it on my own, or like Jordan at least will sometimes get the brunt of it. But it's good to have at least one person there that you feel like you can talk to, or even if you don't
it's
want
good to go
talk
to a
about
therapist, because I feel like even with Jason, I feel like at one point I was like bombarding him with so many of my problems that I was like, oh my god, this is not fair to him. Because like obviously like I would ask him like if it's okay for me to like vent or something like that, because I want to make sure that he's like in a right mental state to like listen to me, and he'll be like, yeah, of course. But then I like realize like I have a friend her Amber, whenever we're about to like vent to each other, we're like, wait, are you okay? Like, are you in the right mental space to like hear me out first? And then it's like, and even if I'm not, I'll be like, yeah, like I'll listen to you, like don't worry about it. And then like I'm like, of course he's gonna and like they can't count on me. And then like I'm like, of course Jason's gonna say that too then, and so is Amber. So it's like
they want to be
so it's like important that like to know that you can't just like throw all your problems on somebody that's not even qualified to really deal with everything that you're stressing or dealing with, especially if it's like something as severe as like anxiety and depression, because it's like serious stuff, and all they can do is like listen, but they're not going to really do a lot to make you feel improve on yourself
and one thing I worry about too is like my depression, like, or anxiety or whatever, almost creating like baggage for a relationship, I just try to keep to myself and just try to deal with it. I just try to like, I know like sleep is one thing that kind of helps me, or just like, I don't know, sometimes like I realize lately like working out, so that's one reason I do work out, because like I realize it helps me to just take my mind off whatever is going on. I can just kind of focus on that and push through it, and at the end of it I do feel like I've at least accomplished something. Or going bike riding, there's so many beautiful trails out here, like, so that's something else that helps me to just relax and take my mind off things. But yeah, I mean, life in itself, just like work and just the expectations and everything, it can be a lot,
It's good to go to someone, because not even with your past traumas, because it's like even with life currently, everyone's going through something and struggling constantly. So it's like you're not only like now just struggling with whatever path you're on right now, but like also you have maybe past traumas or like things that you didn't end up fully dealing with.
that are still playing a part
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
the struggles I have now. And that's true, because I do feel like the issues I had, like, coming out, and just like, even just beyond coming out, but just like living in somewhere like Jamaica where it's super homophobic, and you feel like at any moment, like, even if you're not doing anything, you're just walking, just by the way you walk or the way you talk, like, you almost get really self-conscious about that kind of stuff, you know, and that it really leaves a mark on you as a person. So, like, I definitely see that playing out in my insecurities, and just how I worry that people, even here, like, because I know that even though America is more accepting, there's still homophobic people here. So that's something I still worry about, especially in the Black community. You know, I feel like it's a problem in general, but also specifically within the Black community. But I'm grateful that, like, I found friends that literally don't care about my sexuality, and they accept me, they invite me out, and, like, I'm just really grateful for all of that. And, like, I try to remind myself of small stuff like that, like, that I can be grateful for, and that does help me a lot, but sometimes it's not.
Hard, you know? I was, like, reading this post, like, last week about toxic positivity, and sometimes it's like, it's okay to just be like, you know what, I'm having a shitty day, and, like, I want to have bad thoughts, like, not bad thoughts, like, suicidal, like, once you're at that point, you should be, like, getting help and everything. But if you're just like, you know what, this sucks, like, this is shitty, like, I shouldn't have gone through this at work or this and that, like, that's okay to have, like, those days. It's just like you shouldn't be having them constantly, like, every single day or every moment. But it's okay to have, like, a shitty moment or even, like, a shitty day. Like, it's okay, and it's bad to even, like, be pushing so much positivity on yourself when you're not feeling it.
And it's not natural, because we're not all, like, humans by nature, we're not, like, always positive. That's just not how we're right? Like, we have emotions, we get upset, and we get annoyed, we get, you know, agitated, and, like, that's outside of even. So we have to just learn to accept and deal with those emotions as well.
Yeah. And, like, even with, like, I think with working out, or, like, if your hobby is, like, reading or doing yoga or something, it's like, it's kind of like that thing, like, you can exercise and drink as much water and eat as many vegetables as you want, but until it only fixes what's inside, like, you're not gonna be, like, right. So it's good to, like, take your mind off things, but it's not good to constantly be trying to look for a distraction to avoid it, deal with the actual issue. And
that's something I struggle with too, like, just you know, knowing when to just allow myself to be upset, or you know, not that I don't want to wallow in it, but, like,
giving yourself that moment to just do it.
So yeah, because I mean, like you said, it's probably just best that I do really focus on talking to somebody and just dealing with.
I'll ask for an update next week and see, like, did you end up at least make an appointment or make one call out to one therapist and make a schedule an appointment or something. Yeah.
I think the one thing I worry about too is, like, just including it into my schedule, because I'm already working and, you know, I want to eventually start going back to school. Like, I mean, it's just an hour or whatever off a week, probably. So I'm sure it's something that eventually, or when it comes around to it, I can definitely include. But just the thought of adding one more thing to your day or week or whatever, it does become overwhelming. But it's something I need to do. So I'm just gonna have to get over it.
Yeah, you need to do it, because I think I was doing that. I was, like, avoiding it throughout school because I'm like, well, I'm busy of school and work. But if you can make a time for yourself to work out, like, an hour and a half every day for a whole week, like, you can leave one day for an hour to go and talk to someone.
45 minutes or whatever. You know. I know my company, so they have, like, a employee assistance program, I think it's called. So pretty much, like, I've used it before, so, but pretty much, like, if you want to talk to somebody, you can just go through that, and they give you, like, 3 free sessions every year or something.
Oh yeah, that's what my job does too.
Yeah, so I've used it before, but I don't know, Maybe
You'll feel so
after
much
a few
better
months.
having one person to go to, and they
Yeah.
like already know your history.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it'll suck the first 2 months because they're getting to know you, but it'll feel so good to just like go there and be like able to just vent instead of like having to remind them
The
like, oh,
person.
remember me like
Yeah.
4 months ago.
So that's why it also has to be like a constant thing.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be a routine.
You have to be
you
like
know.
kind of dedicated to it, I feel. Yeah. And that's something I wasn't ready to do when I was like younger, because I started going to therapy. Okay, so I had my first panic attack like second grade, and after that I would have them like so constantly. My parents didn't know what that was, and like when I would cry or like hyperventilate or like freak out, they would just like ignore me or call me like crazy, or like my mom would get mad. She's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like, just like, "Why are you freaking out?" I'm like, "I don't know," and like that would piss them off, and I don't know if you had like your parents were like that, but like if you start crying or like freaking out
Why
about
are you
something,
crying?
yeah, you want me to give you a reason to cry.
Trust me, that's every Jamaican parent. Everyone.
Yeah, that would be like my parents, and then I think it was like more through like in high school. I started going through like body image issues, and then I had like so many problems, and then like I finally like came out to my parents about like something that happened to me when I was younger and how I was like molested by like a family friend. And then after that I went to therapy, but I don't think my parents were so educated on like the whole therapy and mental health situation. And they would, like, when I went and I told you, like, my mom, like, got, like, mad and yelled at the therapist. And she's like...
Oh, that's when you started?
Yeah. And she's like, she's not getting better. Like, I only see her crying, getting more upset. And she's more anxious. And, like, I just told my mom, like, I don't want to go anymore. I hate this. And, like, she's like, you don't have to go. It's fine. And then after that, I just stopped going. And I think... I just wasn't ready to, like, confront everything that was being asked of me to do. But I think it's something, like, you have to be more committed to do. And if you really want to get better and you want to learn new ways to deal with certain problems, that you just, like, have to just do it and do the work. Because it's not easy. I think, like, when, like, you know, I'm not going to say his name, but when I was dating this terrible person, I think it brought out a lot of like bad toxic traits of mine. And when we broke up, I like worked out and like I lost weight and I felt better. And then afterwards I was like maybe a year or two, like a year and a half later, and then like something happened where I was like, wait, I don't feel like I feel like I'm still really toxic. Like something happened with me and like a few friends, and it just like made me realize that maybe I am like a big problem, and like I didn't resolve any of my past issues that I have still lingering on my shoulder. So it's like, yeah, like I can do as much like meditating, doing yoga and working out, but like nothing's gonna get resolved if I'm not like addressing the issues. So yeah.
When you went to therapy, do you remember if like they ever set out like any expectations so that maybe you could look out to say, okay, it's not gonna get better immediately, you know, but maybe in like 6 months or whatever? Or
I was in
time?
high school, so I was still like, I think I was like 17, because I remember I didn't tell my parents. Yeah. I don't think I even told my parents till like the last year, like a few months before I graduated high school. And so I think that also because I was like a minor, they were less, I don't know, I think they would talk more to my parents about it. But for me, they never
have meetings with your
they
parents.
had like separate meetings with my parents. Like before, like I would go in, like they would have like a little session, like 15 minutes or 20 minutes to just talk about my progress or whatever. But I don't think I was ever like actually involved with the conversation, or like they never gave me like she never gave me like any expectations or what to expect to see in like the next few weeks or in that months or whatever. So I think that was also like didn't feel like it was helping, because I was just like sharing what happened and sharing like what like my thoughts on certain things, and I was just like, I didn't see like any progress. I didn't feel like she was helping me like forget it, and it's like you can't really forget something like that. Yeah,
it's gonna be hard to forget it. It's just like
for me, well, yeah, back then I was like, she's not helping me like move on or move forward.
To move on, exactly. And something like I've heard in the past too for different people is that we shouldn't think that once we find one therapist, like that's definitely the person. Sometimes you're gonna go to that person and they're not gonna like you're not gonna have that bond with them or whatever. So it's definitely gonna be like almost shopping around.
Yeah. That's I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so true, and like you shouldn't feel obligated to keep going to someone
if you feel like
but I think for me it was just like it was my first time, and
you weren't like
I wasn't like really educated on mental health or anything. Like I didn't even know that I was having or experiencing panic attacks, and like I think I would hide them, or I was like ashamed of them, because when I first had it, I had it like in second grade, and I was in the library, I remember it vividly, and I had just like started like hyperventilating, and when I went home, my mom's like, well, I got a call from like so-and-so, and they told me that this happened, like why were you crying? And then like I got in trouble for crying and like doing all that. So I think after that I was like traumatized, and I just didn't want anyone to like know or like think that I was like crazy.
And that's the thing, like the fact that you would get in trouble for crying, like the school wouldn't have like made, okay, she's crying, let's have her talk to somebody. Like it's just how our society in general approaches mental health. I think that's a major issue. Like we almost use it for entertainment. Like we use like Kanye's whole rants and everything that we know, like he's bipolar, he's not mentally
and they use it for views and audiences, and
we shouldn't be entertaining that. Like people need to push that man to go and talk to somebody. Like he really needs to just address his, I mean, we're not experts or anything, but I think in general, like in whenever we see someone that has a problem, like we need to reach out to them. Like if we have that relationship with them or whatever, like his family, for example, have that bond with them, or his friends, they can definitely have that conversation with him to say, you should do this or whatever. But like you said in one of the previous episodes, I think with Kanye, like personally, I think like his family, Kim and whoever else is involved, I think they push him, or they don't say anything or whatever, not that we see at least, just because it's going to increase ratings for them. It's going to make them more money. And I mean, the worst case scenario, if he does go ahead and win or whatever, Kim would be first lady, but
that won't happen.
That's pretty far-fetched.
I feel like, and especially because back then I was like 2002 or 2001 when I was in second grade, so I feel like that was, mental health was not something that was very very important back then, or wasn't even, I don't think teachers were really very much educated on the topic.
Because it's like really you really see more of a concerted
I've seen it evolve so much more over the last like maybe 10 years.
I think the last 10 years, 5 years even, like I've seen a lot more like discussions around mental health. Like, even on main like really popular talk shows like The Breakfast Club, like Charlamagne the God is always talking about like
his mental health
and struggles and stuff like that. And we really have to, more people have to start having those discussions, because everyone is celebrities, like regular people, quote unquote regular people, or families or friends, we're all going through or individual
like traumas. And I feel like there's a big stigma on like people on what is considered a trauma. I think a lot of people assume that something super traumatic and like abnormal has to happen in your life for you to experience a trauma, or or for it to be validated as such. But honestly, it can be literally anything. Like, it's just like an example, and it's just like everyone was like would laugh about it. But like on The Bachelor, I remember in Artie's season. I don't think you watched The Bachelor, but there's this one girl who was crying about. I think they were doing like race car. They were like one activity that they were doing was like race car driving, and she started freaking out or crying because she's like. I forgot her full example that she used, but something about her being on like a Ferris wheel or something like that, and not being able to stop freaked her out, and like that like traumatized her, and it was everyone was just like laughing or making jokes about it on social media. And as funny as it sounds, it's like anything can really be traumatic for an individual. It doesn't have to be something as like
a car accident or
a car accident, even like you coming out or me like being molested or whatever. Like it could honestly be anything.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting you mentioned that, because like my mom, so we don't really have. I mean, now I think they have like a few amusement parks, but we don't really have like actual roller coasters and like Six Flags and all that stuff. So when we were in New York, we went to one of the roller coaster theme parks there. Yeah. And I remember once we got on, she was like really like looking forward to it. It was her first time or whatever. And as soon as we started, like she just like started crying, and I felt so bad because like I was the one that kind of encouraged her to do it. I didn't really think about the fact that she might not like it, you know. But yeah, by the time we were finished, like she was literally bawling. Aww. And I felt so bad about it. I can't lie, I did like kind of laugh a little bit, but I did feel like really concerned, and like my heart literally just like sank, even though I was like kind of laughing. But I felt so bad about it. Yeah. And, you know, like you're saying, that can really be traumatic for people.
I mean, like for me, like a roller coaster might not be anything, but for like your mom, it's like not like, so I think people need to be very considerate about like when somebody shares like a traumatic experience, because for like what you think isn't traumatic might be like traumatic for me. Else, so that's like another stigma that like I've had issues with. Like it bothers me, like when people try to tell you what is or isn't,
or whatever, like trying to downplay your
experience.
And, like, that's kind of a big deal for me. So like it kind of hurts, and that's probably why a lot of people don't even like talk about certain things, because they're just like, no one's really gonna care. Like they're bigger things that people are dealing with.
Yeah, people are dealing with this. Yeah, or that's like the other thing. Like when you share your experience or like something with someone, or you're like venting, and I've had somebody be like, "Well, you know what? It could be worse. Like people are like dying out there. People don't have food." And I'm like, okay, well, there's always going to be someone suffering more than me if you want to like really rate it or whatever. But like, I'm allowed to feel my feelings.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a comparison. Like we, you know, we do that with everything. I feel like we compare like.
And I think that I had struggled so much with that, because then I would like avoid my issues, because I'd be like, well, I'm not dying, or I'm not this or that. And I think even like when I remember when I shared my like childhood trauma with like a friend of mine, and she was like, well, that was like 15 years ago. Like, you need to get over it. Like, move on. And I'm just like, back then I was just, I was bothered by it, but not as much. But now I'm like, how dare you tell me? Like, and he's like, there are other things going on, and that you need to focus on that and this and that. And I'm just like, what? Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, that was my friend who said that. Like, okay, great.
It really shows you who your friends are. Yeah. But I mean, like you said, at that time, you didn't know how to think about.
Like I kind of agreed with her, and then every time I would feel like any emotions, I'd be like, well, there are people dying out there. Like, I shouldn't feel this way, and then I'm like suppressing my feelings, and then it's like. And then
based on that person's
and then it's like
misguided
by me suppressing my feelings, it's like and not addressing something, I'm contributing to like my toxicity, and like instead of improving myself and being a better person and better version of myself. So it's important to feel the feelings that you need to feel.
Yeah. And just knowing how to process it. And like you said, like we were talking about, just, reaching out to a qualified professional. I mean, it's good to like have a friend or whatever that you can talk to, but at some point, especially if it's, something that you feel like you can't really process or your friends can't really help with you processing, like we have to acknowledge that we have to reach out to a mental health professional. At work, or some jobs, like I said, they provide like the EAP, employee assistance program, or I don't know, like maybe other organizations, churches probably. Religious like places probably have like.
I know my
like,
church
pastors,
does do that. Yeah,
they do provide like counseling and stuff like that. So whoever you're comfortable going to, like,
sometimes it's important to like not to have. It's important to have a third party, and especially like you were saying, sometimes you feel like you're putting so much issues onto like Jordan, and that's how I feel like with Jason. Sometimes I'm like, wait, I'm putting like so much on him, and like he's trying his best to like deal with it, and it's like, but I have to be considerate about like his problems and like what he's going through. Like I remember when the pandemic started and like I couldn't start my new job, and he was furloughed, and I was like complaining and crying about like not being able to start like my dream job and whatever, and then I didn't realize till like maybe like the next following week I was like, okay, wow, I was crying and like about this, but I still have a job, and then like this happened to Jason and whatever. So like
sometimes it is putting things into perspective like that, but like you were just saying, like even though Jason was dealing with his own struggles, that
he didn't say anything about like, oh well, I don't have like this or that, like and he's always he's overly nice and considerate, and it's like I need some like a medium, like I need someone to like tell me like, yes, this sucks, and like give me like tactics to improve, and like let me uncover and like the traumas and like how to like separate and deal with it, but then be like also like an asshole, like be like, you can't be doing this though, you need to be a better person and this and that, and like I feel like Jason's very too understanding. I'm like, it's okay. So like I love that about him. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, no, be like an asshole to me and tell me I'm being an asshole, and like tell me it was not okay to do that, or
but yeah, for me, like it's good to have somebody there that will, not to say cuddle you, but
like to call me out, and then like he'll do that, but I don't know, like I feel like I don't take it serious sometimes, or
like you just think he's probably just saying that, or
or like if like he does it, or maybe if I'm not in the mood to hear it, like it just depends, like I have to be in the mood to hear him put me in my place and be like, you shouldn't have done that. And if he tries to do that and I'm not in the mood, I'll be pissed. I'll get pissed, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then like same with like my mom, and she like if I'm venting to her and she's like, well, you did do this and that's not right, I'll be like, whose side are you on? So it's good to have just like a third party be like there to tell you what it is that you're
that's
not
objective,
seeing.
Just like not involved in the situation or anything. I can see how that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to take seriously.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, just stay tuned and look out for any updates on that from me. I'll definitely try to keep you guys updated as things go through.
Yeah, but two people that have been in the headlines then of the past like week or two, I think, is like Kanye and Tamar Braxton.
Yeah.
I know that you were a fan of Tamar Braxton. I didn't really like follow her prior to like the news, but do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like I don't watch her show. I'm not really a big reality TV person, as you know.
Yeah.
But I did grow up with her music. Like in Jamaica, she's really popular. Like her old R&B music, really popular stuff. So I was kind of shocked to see the headlines a couple maybe a week ago or so, a couple days ago. Pretty much saying that, you know, she was falling unconscious and they had to rush her to the hospital, and it looked like a suicide attempt. And researching it, no, you know, apparently she left like a note, a suicide note. So her family is really, you know, right now especially just asking for everyone's support. But looking into it more as to what might have triggered that, it looks like for her it's just her feeling trapped in her
network or deal, or
the network deals that she had with her show. Because she said something about like she's trying to get her life back. Like she doesn't own her thoughts, her life, her, you know, her person, you know, her life pretty much. And she's trying to get her life back from her massa. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pretty much like your master, like, which I'm guessing in this case was the television network or the producers, whoever is in charge of that show. So that goes back to just like, we need to realize that everyone is going through their own struggles. Even like celebrities that look like they're happy and they have money and they're traveling and everything, like, you know, for her, like, it was really interesting. Like, I saw that apparently she posted that same day in the morning that, you know, it was about she was saying it was about 1:30 and she just wanted to go to bed. Like, and in the video or like Instagram post, she was like singing and her son was like getting upset with her, probably not realizing that she was going through something like in that moment. So it's really tough. Like, it like, worst case scenario, they could have not found her, and that could have been the last thing that she shared with the world.
Been shared,
you know. So even something like that, like, that's a sign that her family and just like her, you know, I mean, he probably wasn't taking it seriously, but her son, I mean, I don't know how old he is, but people need to start looking into those signs more and just kind of, like I said, like, just look into those signs more and reach out and reassure people, you know, try to talk to them and find out if they're genuinely okay. Like, I was just talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, you know, there's asking somebody if they're okay and then really asking them, are you okay? Because sometimes we just, like, people just say it just to...
Okay, are you okay? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't really care, I feel like. Or I don't want to say they don't care, but
I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with asking or being too pushy.
Or just like getting into your personal life that makes them like really uncomfortable. So, you know, so there's some people that do. There's just a difference, like, and what your intent is behind the question. So we really have to get more serious about it and actually try to find out, like, sit down, find a quiet space or whatever, and just find an appropriate time or place to ask people if they're okay. Because I'm sure apparently with Tamar, like, she did give other signs and her family, you know, probably was working with her on it, but like we've been saying, it's never that like easy to just like deal with it at that one time, and like your family's reassuring you so you're okay now. It's never
not work. It doesn't work like that.
So and it looks like the trigger was still ongoing, which in this case was her network deal. So it was just really, you know, disheartening to see that, but I'm really, really happy that
she's okay.
And she's, you know, I think she's in the hospital.
I think they said that she was transferred like a few days ago, I think, if I was right. But she was transferred to a new hospital for specialized treatment.
Well, it's amazing that she's still here with us, and I'm trying to keep her in my thoughts and just to send positivity.
I feel like so much crap's been happening like the last few weeks, and like
as if this year itself.
The last like literally month and a half or two, it felt like 2 years.
And then Naya Rivera died.
I was just gonna bring her up. That like makes me so sad because I've been like such a huge Glee fan, and Naya and like Leah Michelle are my favorite, and Corey Monteith, and like just seeing that they discovered her body, and like the 7-year anniversary of Corey Monteith's death made me so sad, and just like I'm like, oh my god, so much crap's been going on. And Naya Rivera's death really made me feel like more grateful to be like alive another day. And like, okay, I'm gonna like make the best out of today and like try to be more positive and whatnot. But yeah, that was sad. It made me so sad. I still like I've been watching Glee in like the last week or so since like all that happened, and just watching like old episodes and just watching like old videos of her, and I'm like, oh my god.
Because even though you didn't know her,
as like it's
it
like
still affects you.
Yeah, it's like mourning her character and like her
what she meant for all of us, because we grew up with Glee. You know?
Were you a big Glee fan?
Yeah, I was.
Oh my god.
So it was really shocking to see that she went missing. I mean, we've seen her in the headlines.
It made me so sad because of her child.
Yeah, that was especially sad. And hearing apparently that she pushed him onto the deck to save him, and then he looks back and she was just like gone. He didn't see her. So he himself, I'm sure, as he gets older,
he's gonna remember
and being able to put that together or whatever, it's gonna really...
That's what me and my mom were talking about. We were like, you really pray for him, because in the next like few years he's gonna kind of put everything together and realize what happened. It's like traumatic. It's
very traumatic for kids. Like, that kind of reminds me, I mean, it's kind of a different situation, but Whitney Houston's daughter, Bobby Christine, I think is her name. I definitely think that in general, like just with kids, for celebrities, I think that the trauma, whatever it may be, that the parent goes through, in some cases, especially
generational trauma,
especially because they're in the spotlight and that that's so public, like it definitely affects them.
You're like reliving it each time that something comes up, like a documentary or like album or like.
So like in Bobby Christina's case, like, you know, that didn't really end well, but we can hope for Naya Rivera's son that, you know, his family will be there for him. Not to say that Bobby Christina's wasn't, but hopefully he can get the necessary help to prevent him from going down that road. Because like we're saying, like it's already traumatic for him. I'm sure he's already realized his mom is gone. But as he gets older, I'm sure it's gonna be harder, and like he's gonna put things together. You know, the fact that his mom, like the last thing she did was to save him, like that's super traumatic in itself. So we really have to also keep him in our thoughts, and just I hope that you know, I mean, his dad is still around.
He is.
So I'm sure he's gonna play more of a role. Well, I don't know what role he played already, but
he seemed like he was a really good dad. Like he's very like
Jack Dorsey
involved. Ryan Dorsey.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he's, you know, it's definitely gonna be an opportunity for him to play a more significant role in his life, in his son's life, and just make sure that his son is doing okay. But yeah, it was definitely really. It's been, like you said, it's a lot of tragic stuff like that.
A lot of like, with even like this last week, Ryan Bowers passed away, and it's just like a lot of like bad stuff have been going on, I feel. It's just like sad. Like, I know my professor posted something on Instagram. She was just saying how she's had somebody connected to her in some way or form pass away over the last like 3 weeks every week.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, that's so sad. Like, I just feel like a lot of terrible things are happening,
and especially right now, funerals, like you can't really mourn people in the
normal way. We're used to. And I'm just trying to be more grateful that I haven't experienced like anything as terrible.
Like I haven't, like in the last, I don't know if you want to call it, but I haven't had any like close deaths or anything like that. So
I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like, I never, like, I'm not trying to compare this at all, but like I remember when my first dog passed away like a few years ago, I was like crying every day for like a while. So I can't even imagine like somebody close to me, like a family member or like anything like that happen.
I don't want to know it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that struggle.
So much anxiety even thinking about it. But yeah.
The next thing we wanted to talk about was
Kanye West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one and only Kanye West.
Yeah.
For me, like we were saying earlier, like we know that Kanye is
not right.
Yeah.
Not okay. But he's been making a lot of troubling remarks the last few years. Yeah, now that I'm like, it's like the last few years. He made a comment about Harriet Tubman, saying Harriet Tubman never freed slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people. And for those that don't know, Harriet Tubman is like a very respected figure from the 19th century, and she helped African Americans escape slavery.
Through the Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
right?
And she helped enslaved black men and women travel north to freedom, and also fought for the Union during the Civil War. Yeah.
Really.
So I don't know. I just feel like certain stuff like this shouldn't. I'm very contradicted because it's like I feel like certain things like this should not be publicized, or like the media should not be publicizing this and giving him more publicity. But at the same time, it's like I should know this, so then I'm like, because then I can not like support whoever supports this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's like
so we can at least know that.
Yeah.
How they think or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like for him, it's kind of like an exception because it's like I know he's not okay, but where is everyone that like loves or cares for him, like Kim and his family? Like they should be putting a stop to this and like getting him some serious like mental like help or something. I don't know. And
based on his rant, like even the comments he made about Kim K, like I'm getting the gist.
And sharing something so personal about, like, I don't know if she allowed him, but it seemed like she did not, based on what he said, saying, I might get a divorce after this. But I was just like, what the heck?
Yeah, like, because that was not public information. That's just coming out now about, like, his daughter. And, like, I'm just wondering, like we were talking about earlier, like, I'm wondering how North is going to feel about this later when she hears this. Yeah, pretty much he said that he wanted Kim to abort North, and Kim is the one that really fought for the baby and just to keep the baby. Yeah. That's something now he's grateful for, but I do worry that you know when North grows up, she's gonna be able to see this stuff. And like he himself said the same thing, like his dad didn't want him, like his dad wanted to abort him, and in the video he started breaking down and stuff, so you could see that he has a. For me, I'm sorry, it just seemed like. At first, I was like, "Oh my god, these are like crocodile tears," but I don't know. I can't tell anymore if this is like real or not. Like, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I do think his mental issues definitely play a role in it, but I feel like there are some true, there's a lot of manipulation involved when you have bipolar. Okay. So you think he's kind of using? I don't think he's using it as an excuse. I think I don't think he's doing it intentionally. I think it's all subconsciously. Yeah. No, I get what you mean. I don't know a lot about being bipolar, but I get what you mean. Like it's almost like a unconscious thing. Yeah, that it's nothing that he's doing intentional, wanting to deliberately manipulate like people. And I've seen like people on Twitter, for example, they've been commenting. Some people have been commenting on like the statements about Harriet Tubman, just to kind of, in a sense, put it in context based on, I guess, what they think he's trying to say. Yeah. Pretty much that even though Harriet Tubman did free enslaved people, he's suggesting that she brought them into the hands of the oppressor, pretty much. Which I think she did the best that she could,
Yeah.
given the power that she had. I mean, she's just a regular person, just like you and I. That
Yeah.
did this
Which
huge
against
thing.
like
Yeah.
the whole United States and like white people that were trying to press
that were in power
and yeah,
still, I mean,
still
have a lot
are,
of power.
yeah. It's like, and especially like in the 19th century, like
when people were still, like, the country was still dealing with Jim
Yeah.
Crow laws and all these major forms of discrimination. Not that we don't have that now, but way more.
this was like when they were like slavery still existed, so it's
Exactly.
like yeah, so it's
Exactly.
and like what I was telling you before we started recording, I was like, I think that because when you first told me that people were trying to analyze like that what he said, I was like, I think he knows exactly what he was trying to say, which is that, but he purposely chose to use those words instead to be controversial. And
Because even with the Kim K statement, he was like, let me think about this for a second and just make sure I'm saying it right. And then he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to say it how I thought about it. And I'm like, no, I mean...
yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's okay to think about something, but I feel like a lot of times we have to think about if what we're saying makes sense and just how we want to express it. Because it can be misconstrued, you know? I mean, if that really wasn't his intention, then he definitely got misconstrued.
Yeah.
So that's something you definitely don't want to do. I mean, that's just basic communication. You want to be an effective communicator, especially if you're running for president, you know? You don't want to be, like, people to not understand what you're trying to get at. And, I mean, I don't know. Trump has set a whole nother playbook because apparently presidents can now be controversial and all these things. But
yeah.
I personally don't want a president that, like, does that. So he really needs to work on just, in general, just analyzing situations more. Because for me, like, I think a part of it is that he just does not understand situations. Like him saying that slavery was a choice, for example, and whatever. Obviously, if he had, like, gone to history class and, like, done an in-depth reading, just like gone online to say, to read up on slavery or whatever, you would have been able to see, like, there have been many rebellions and black people did try to not, like, the enslaved people did, like, try to fight back, but going up against guns and ammunition and, like, the power that the enslaved people had, it wasn't really an option, you know? I mean, thankfully, in Jamaica, for example, in the Caribbean, there were revolts and stuff like that did play a large part in the British and Europeans giving us freedom, but there's so much and no more that you can do when you don't have power.
Yeah,
you know?
and there's kind of like with his, like what I was also mentioning, that when like the whole caravan talk was happening, like before the midterm elections in 2018, like I remember seeing a lot of people that were against immigration saying that people from like Guatemala and like the countries down south below Mexico should go back to their own countries and fight for their freedom. And if they were really struggling or really wanted to live or whatever, that they should fight for their freedom and fight back against the cartel and against the government. It's like it's nothing people were able to do back in like the 19th century or 18th century, and it's something you want someone to do in 2020 where the government has even much more power, and then like on top of that it's like a whole corrupt system with the cartel and the government and everything.
Who are you gonna go to
like who are you gonna go to? Who are you gonna how are you gonna fight back against like a cartel?
A whole system.
Yeah, so it's like, so I have so much issues with Kanye saying these things, and it's like, yes, you have a mental illness, but that's no excuse to say such nasty, controversial things that are going to be used later against other minorities, because it's
he's giving
not
ammunition to people. Now people are going to be quoting him.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what bothers me. It's like these things are later used against other minorities, like blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and it's like, yeah,
It's
like
not
we
really.
shouldn't be giving him the platform to be speaking on issues, if he's going to be like speaking that way. Binge-worthy segment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
It's so sad. I haven't really found anything that to watch, and I know that you've been telling me to watch Pose, but I just haven't been in like the mindset to watch anything, like not even movies or whatever.
To like start
So
something, like
yeah,
a new
like I'll
show.
just have like the 70s show on in the background, and I'm just like doing life or whatever while watching it. But I started reading, well, I didn't start reading it because this time I decided to do like an audiobook, and I started listening to Untamed. And it's pretty good so far.
Untamed.
I am like,
It's
yeah.
okay.
It's a audiobook, but you can also, if you want to read the actual book, you're like, no, thank you. You can get the book, but it's Untamed, and it's been pretty good so far. So I've been listening to that, and yeah, I think that's actually it. Wow, I was so excited for this segment, and now I'm like, wait, what have I been doing? Yeah.
That's 70 show then.
Yeah, okay.
I kinda love that 70
Anyways.
show, so.
It's been so good. It's so sad that I don't have a life, but I started like season 1 again, like
Right.
maybe last
love
week.
Ryan.
And oh my god, I love him. And I'm on like season 5. Yeah, and like the
Wait,
episodes
where
are
do you watch it on?
Netflix.
Is it on Netflix? Okay.
Yeah, and I've been watching Glee because I said like just since the Naya thing, I've been like really like just into it, and like just some throwbacks. Yeah.
So for me, we found a show on Netflix called Imposters.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've heard of it before,
No.
but I won't give too much spoilers, but
Yeah.
pretty much this girl goes around and she marries like different people and like
Yeah.
steals their money from them. And like,
Okay.
after a couple like marriages,
Yeah.
like let's say her third one or whatever, they start looking into her to find her, and then one finds the other husband or ex-husband or whatever. So they team up and they're looking for her, and then they find another one that she got married to, a girl.
What the heck?
She got married to a girl or whatever. And then they all start looking for her, and it's been really interesting, honestly. It's like a mystery kind of. It's
Yeah.
funny though. It's like some comedy
Interesting.
mystery. Like it's good. It's on Netflix. 2 seasons.
What is it called again?
Imposters.
Imposter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good show. And for me, like, if I'm not watching something new, I'll just have Bob's Burgers on.
Oh my god, when I walked in, I literally was hearing him like, oh my god, I love Bob's Burgers. Oh my god. Oh, I have been listening to a lot of podcasts. I missed like the last like 3 or 4 episodes of Crime Junkie. So if you don't listen to Crime Junkie, everyone needs to go listen to them. It's about unsolved mysteries and crimes, and I'm obsessed. And also I've been listening to binging a lot of Jamila Jamil's podcast episodes that I've missed. Her podcast is called I Weigh, and I thought it would just be a lot about like weight issues or body image issues, but talks a lot about like mental health issues and how your worth is more than like the whole like center of it is like at the end she'll be like, oh, what do you weigh? And then they'll be like, oh, I weigh like being a daughter, a sister, this, that, like it's like more than just like your actual weight. And then but she talks a lot about like mental health issues, and it's like interesting to hear about like everyone's perspectives on like traumas and like their mental health and how they deal with it and blah blah blah. So yeah,
I haven't listened to her
Obsessed.
podcast before, but I think I recently found out who she is, and she was on The Good Place. Have you watched that show?
yeah,
I kinda fell off a little bit,
yeah,
but-
yeah.
I really
I
enjoyed
have.
the first and maybe first 2 seasons. Yeah, so that's where I found out about her from.
Yeah,
So that's also an interesting show. It's an interesting concept
she's
behind it.
yeah, but she's very interesting and very like, yeah, I've like learned so much about like the trans community the trans
trans community.
The trans community. Also like I don't really know like the full details about like non-binary, and like the issues between trans women and the women's movement and cis women and all that. So it's interesting and very educational at the same time to learn about like all the different types of people that are just out there, and how they identify and what it means to them and the struggles that they went through.
I should check it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know she had a podcast. Honestly.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Have you been listening to anything else? It's so hard because like I used to listen to a lot of music because I'd be on the train to school and then like 40-minute drive to work, but now it's like so hard to get it in because it's like I'm home all day. Yeah, for me, like when I'd be at the office, like at my desk or whatever, that's when I'd listen to podcasts. But if I'm home, I hope none of my employers are listening, but I usually have the TV on or something in the background. Yeah. So, it kind of takes a place off the podcast.
The podcast or music.
Yeah. So I don't really get to listen to a lot of podcasts I have, but
try it.
Yeah. I'm gonna
like I do it when I'm cleaning or something. Yeah. Like when I'm cleaning or
cooking is another time.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah.
But then that's like 45 minutes or more. So it's sort of like one episode.
Yeah, exactly. So just try it.
We want to end today's episode by encouraging everyone who is struggling with mental illness or suicidal thoughts to reach out to a mental health professional in your area or the National Suicide Hotline for help at 1-800-273-8255. Thanks for tuning in again, and take care.